Today, the world is witnessing the highest level of human suffering. 125 million people across the world are in need of humanitarian assistance. More than 60 million people are displaced. They are displaced often for a very long period of time. And this is the highest level of displacement in recorded history. We also know that climate change materializes through an increase in the number, frequency, and intensity of disasters that are having a tremendous impact on people, lives, and livelihoods. There are also there are also a very high number of conflicts, of protracted crises that last for more than 8-10 years. Humanitarian assistance has been doing a great work, but humanitarian needs have increased tremendously. They have increased by 600% over the last 10 years. While the needs are increasing, the gap is also widening. There are more and more needs that are not covered. So while humanitarian assistance has been remarkable in providing assistance, we realize more and more that it is not enough to solve all issues, and that humanitarian and development actors need to work together, and that political, development, and humanitarian players need really to join force. And this is what will be discussed next week in Istanbul. Istanbul will be very important for the various communities, for political actors, but also for the humanitarian and development communities to share analysis and also to commit to a number of very important principles and aspects. First of all, they will commit to work on prevention, on preventing conflict and ending conflict. They will also discuss and work and commit to work towards upholding the norms that safeguard humanity. An important aspect that will be also discussed next week in Istanbul relates to the issue of displacement. Forced displacement, but also looking at those who stay where they are. And this will be under the topic of leaving no one behind. Then an important aspect relates essentially, and this touches a lot to FAO's resilience agenda when it comes to really working on ending needs rather than to keep delivering assistance. And finally, an important aspect that will be discussed and on which a number of commitments are going to be made by the various players relate to the issue of financing. Financing humanitarian assistance, but also financing resilience building. The World Humanitarian Summit is not about food, it's not about food security, and it's not about agriculture. It's not an agriculture summit. Yes, yet, when you know that in developing countries, 70% of people depend on agriculture for their livelihood, and that natural disasters, disease, and conflict are having a huge impact on food security, this will be very much on the agenda of the summit. We know, for example, that conflict have a tremendous impact. As a matter of fact, the level of undernourishment in protracted crises is 3 times higher than it is in developing countries on average. We know also that natural disasters are having a tremendous impact as well on agriculture and food security. We have published a study recently that shows that, as a matter of fact, 22% of the total cost of disaster is absorbed by the agriculture sector, and that in case of drought, it goes up to 84%. The same applies for diseases. I mean, we know that diseases such as highly pathogenic avian influenza or peste des petits ruminants, small ruminant plagues, are really destroying the livelihood of farmers. I mean, and this is why, even though food will not be per se an item in the title of the World Humanitarian Summit, it will be part of all discussions there.